your sexual desires are not bringing you fulfillment in life. Here's why. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Worship in the Wilderness. So, as a Christian, I really don't like to talk about these types of subjects, but I happen to live in the real world and I'm exposed to the same sinners as everyone else. So I can't just pretend like I'm unaware of how broken our world really is. I have to address the issues now and then. And one issue that came up in my life recently is sexual sin, particularly those who are defined by their sexuality. So the other day at work, I had to listen to my coworker indulge in the most disgusting, perverted conversation about his plans for the weekend. He started talking about all the people he's going to sleep with, talking about his body parts, and just went off on all his sexual desires for the weekend. Now, I went to public school, so I'm not easily offended by this kind of stuff, but this dude was being outrageously disgusting in his conversation, and he just took it to the extreme. And so that leads me to this question. Has anyone else noticed that people who are defined by their sexuality are the most unhappy people in the world? Think about it. They're always the ones complaining about the news, complaining about other people. They're always complaining on the internet. They're protesting and judging others. And they just all around live very unhappy, unfulfilled lives. Why is that? Well, first of all, they believe the lie from the enemy that they're going to find fulfillment in their sexual desires of the flesh. I call it a lie because if it wasn't, then wouldn't doing what they love make them happier, more pleasant people? But this is not the case. It's quite the opposite. And the reason is because they've been lied to that their sexuality will bring them happiness and fulfillment. Proverbs 5 goes into great details about the destruction from sexual sin. If you have the chance, read it in your free time so you can see what I'm talking about. So if it's a lie that pursuing happiness through sexuality will bring you fulfillment, then what is the truth? The truth is that we need to find our hope in Jesus to find fulfillment and live a meaningful and satisfied life through Him. How many times have you heard someone say that they turned away from their life of sexual immorality and found fulfillment in Jesus instead? Unless you're living under a rock, you hear it all the time. You hear it from movie stars, musicians, and celebrities. And did you notice that when people like these come to Christ, that they stop living a life of complaining and depression? John 8:32 says, "The truth will set you free." So what should we do if we see someone living an empty life and trying to fill that emptiness with sex? We definitely shouldn't affirm their lifestyle, because if you do, you're keeping them in an empty, unsatisfied, and miserable life. You're contributing to their problems and making it harder for them to find a way out. Are we surprised with so much harmful affirmation going on that the suicide rate among these people is so high? But society will deny this because they can't handle the truth. They just want to hear what their itching ears want to hear. And that brings us to 2 Timothy 4:3-4. For a time is coming when people will no longer listen to sound and wholesome teaching. They will follow their own desires and will look for teachers who will tell them whatever their itching ears want to hear. They will reject the truth and chase after myths. So what should we do when someone falls into the trap of sexually immoral lifestyle? Well, it depends on how much you love that person. If it's just an acquaintance or a stranger on the internet, then simply just pray for them. They're not going to listen to anything you have to say to them. They don't know you, so you and your opinions are nothing to them. So all you can do is pray for them. But if it's a loved one, then you need to speak up. It starts with you leading by example first. Make sure you're not involved in sin yourself before you start telling others how great it is to live a more holy life. That would make you a hypocrite. First, take care of your own sin issue before you try to help someone else conquer their issues. Matthew 7:3-5 says, And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, "Let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye," when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite! First, get rid of the log in your own eye. Then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. So, make sure you approach them with an attitude of love. Remember, you are trying to help your loved ones find a better life that God intended for them, not pat yourself on the back for fixing someone. Helpfully point out to them that their current lifestyle choices are making them unhappy. Then offer them Jesus. If they understand and agree, then you can take the next step. If they're stubborn and refuse to admit the truth, then they're not ready to make the change yet. And at that point, all you can do is pray for them. If one day they do decide to hear you out, hopefully because you led by example and they want in their life what you have in yours, then you can start talking to them about Jesus. But just remember, God is love, and people respond to love, not self-righteousness or criticism. So if you can show them the love of Christ, then maybe they will come to their senses and change. 2 Timothy 2:23-26 says, "Again I say, don't get involved in foolish, ignorant arguments that only start fights. A servant of the Lord must not quarrel, but must be kind to everyone, be able to teach, and be patient with difficult people. Gently instruct those who oppose the truth. Perhaps God will change those people's hearts, and they will learn the truth. Then they will come to their senses and escape from the devil's trap, for they have been held captive by him to do whatever he wants." Life without Jesus is meaningless and unfulfilling. There is no hope for a person who tries to fill their life with anything but Jesus. We all see it. We all know it. So let's help other people find what they've been missing in life. Then they will be free to enjoy God's true purpose for their life. Psalm 16:11 says, "You will show me the way of life, granting me the joy of your presence and the pleasures of living with you forever." Thank you, and God bless you.